Good morning. Crisp, cool morning in Door County. There was a little snow on the ground this morning. There's a little fall color left here and there, and here's one example. I would say this obviously is not outstanding, but still nice. This is Ironwood or hop hornbeam, one of my favorite trees, and with the yellowish, with some green in it yet and some brown, but interesting, kind of a mottled look. But one of the nice things about Ironwood is that, you can see it over here on this one, is like beech from last week, it'll hold some of its withered dry leaves all winter long. Again, that's a condition called marcescence. I don't know why trees do it, but it looks nice, so that's all I need to know. And the young bark on Ironwood trees looks a lot like a cherry tree. So I think a lot of people at first glance think, oh, that must be a young cherry, a wild black cherry or choke cherry. But the bark changes as the tree grows older, and we'll see that in a little bit. But this is Ironwood or hop hornbeam, still with a little fall color and these marcescent leaves that'll last all winter. And here's an older Ironwood. You can see the bark characteristic changes dramatically, and this is the case with most trees. It has these fairly narrow, maybe a quarter to a half inch wide strips of bark that often will curl up at the top and bottom, give it a really interesting texture. So you would never know, looking at a young one with that cherry-like bark, that it would turn into this. You would never recognize it as the same tree. But this is Ironwood bark, classic Ironwood bark with these curled edges. Well, we've talked a bit the last few weeks about a needle drop on conifers and evergreens, and how it happens dramatically and suddenly on true pines like white pine. It happens very suddenly on arborvitae, but on other conifers like this is balsam fir, hemlock, spruce, junipers, it happens all year long, just a little bit at a time. You can see some of these yellow and brown needles here, and these are the old needles that are just going to fall off naturally. A balsam fir has flat needles. Spruce have square needles. If it's a spruce needle, you can just twirl it in your finger, but you can't with a flat fir needle. People confuse it too because they look a lot alike. Fir needles are glossier, and this is the one that if you take a needle or two and crush it, it smells like Christmas. This is the Christmas tree that many of us, me included, grew up with. So balsam fir with its flat needles that smell like Christmas. Here we have one of the invasive plants at the clearing that we've worked over the years to try to eliminate as best we can. This is autumn olive. It's in the same genus as Russian olive, Eurasian plant, and it holds its leaves very late, so it's easy to spot this time of year, and if you're doing control, that makes it easier. But alternate leaves, but the real striking thing on autumn olive is the undersides of the leaves are this grayish green and very shiny. A lot of people find that attractive. I have a hard time with that because I dislike the plant so much. It produces berries, red berries that the birds eat and spread around. That's how it moves around. There's a lot of it right across the street at the clearing, right across Garrett Bay Road, and that's our seed source. So every year we spend some time cutting these down and treating the cut surface with an herbicide to help hopefully prevent resprouting. So autumn olive with its silvery undersides on the leaves that hold late in the fall. Here's another dogwood. This is Redoiser or red twig dogwood. We've already talked about gray dogwood, pagoda dogwood. in roundleaf dogwood. Here's another one that many people know because it's planted for its bright red bark, which you'll see in a little while here. But here it is in color, all dogwoods with this nice maroon fall color, quite late on this one. And here are the berries. On some dogwoods, the berries mature to red, some to blue, and some to white, like on Redoiser Dogwood. And the birds, I'm surprised they haven't found these yet, because they usually disappear pretty quickly. And like all dogwoods, once the berries are gone, these pedicels or berry stems are called pedicels, remain often all winter long with a little color. But it's the bark, it's especially that young bark on Redoiser Dogwoods. That's what most people know about this plant. And as it gets older, it begins to lose that color, so people will often, because it's a multiple stem plant, they'll cut out the older stems, a couple every year, and that stimulates new growth from the base with that nice colorful young bark. And it's more colorful in the winter than it is in the summer. So a very popular and common landscape plant, Redoiser or red twig dogwood. This is leatherwood, a plant we looked at back in spring when it was in flower with this little yellow bell-shaped dangling flower. Here it is in fall color, not outstanding, but interesting, especially with its kind of mottled appearance with the veins still green. The chlorophyll hasn't degraded there yet, but kind of yellowish and some, quite nice. But leatherwood colors late and drops its leaves late, and then it reveals a really interesting architecture. It's a very coarse textured and open plant, and almost like a scrunched down magnolia. But the fall color is interesting, not showy and outstanding, but nice. And if you look closely, you'll find beautiful things everywhere.